Now I have unhosted World Anvil. And we are here. Wait, wrong thing. Let me do that. Well, that worked. How's it going, Epi? Wait, now I gotta do this. Exhausting. Thinking is exhausting. Alright, so we should be set up for Jim's Tricks of Trade number 55. Fast-paced combat round. Notice, I went back and researched some of the other 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝, Nice Chess, BRB. I noticed a lot of the earlier tricks of the trade actually had like 5 tricks per trick, so I'd expand on those a little bit. And I was looking at combat rounds, and that's what cropped up this week. So that's what we're doing, how to run fast-paced combat rounds. And I'm sure, as always, that a lot of you have ideas of your own. Hurl them out into the stream as they come to you. How's it going, Commander Pete? I hope everybody's doing all right on this Thursday afternoon. I was busy hammering away on rune lore. I was working on the chaos runes and the entropy runes that are going to be kind of tied to those. That's a whole new school of runes that I've created and brought into my Thursday night game to really muck things up. Things are good over here. Well, pandemic aside, I'm doing good, but sun's out, warm outside, all's good. How's it going, Retro Gamer? But yeah, I've hammered away on these, and what I've decided to do with these particular runes, the entropy runes and the chaos runes, is leave. How's it going, King Kothar? Is leave the realm of magic and go into the realm of physics. So I've been reading. I really got in. I don't even know what started this. It was a month or so ago. I stumbled across something. I don't even know where I would have stumbled across. It would not normally appear in my YouTube feed, but I stumbled across something about entropy. Or someone said it or whatever, and I started researching entropy a little bit. And there's no part of my brain that works on physics. I took physics back in 11th grade, and I remember torque. I don't even know what torque is, other than when I pull the wrench, that gives it more torque or something. I don't know. Torque is involved with nuts and bolts. That's just about all I know. How's it going, Haunted Holler Painting? Willie the Rat, how's it going? I got confused. Haunted Holler Painting. I thought, isn't your show tomorrow? Wait, no, it's yesterday. And I got completely confused about what I was doing. And my brain wandered off. But at any rate, so I'm looking at all of this. How's it going, Bifford, DM Samuel? I'm looking at all these physics concepts and trying to kind of integrate them into the rune lore magic. And it's pretty cool. Entropy is a pretty fascinating concept, or law, or whatever it is. Favorite monster, Gibbering Mouther. Absolutely love the Gibbering Mouther, always have, and I love the Mimic too, 2 of my favorite monsters. The Gibbering Mouther is just cool on all levels. And the Mimic is just so much you can do with the Mimic. How you doing, Knight 5150? So at any rate, I was diving into all of these crazy runes, working out. So what I do is I write. I'm going to change things a little bit off of what was presented in the Adventurer's Backpack. I'm actually going to go the route that's presented in Player's Guide to Eric, where if you look at the blood runes, the only runes that are done are the Winter Resident blood runes. Now the Shadow runes are first stage, but each of those is going to come with a school of thought and the way these runes interact with other runes and with the user. And you'll see, if you want to know where we're going with it, you'll see, just check your Player's Guide to Eric. So all of the runes are going to get these treatments, and these specifically, the chaos runes and the runes of entropy are going to have their foundation in modern entropy. So we'll see how that pans out. But lots of fun, and I was ass deep in that when Chuck and Tim texted me and said, you got your tricks of trade in 15 minutes. I'm like, what the hell? But today was Canada Day. I guess yesterday was Canada Day. Called torque. Yeah. Willie, well, that's probably all I know too. it's very interesting because my mind is not. My wife's actually got her degree in physics and mathematics, so she's got a very concrete understanding of these concepts. But I don't. My degrees are in history and cultural anthropology and whatnot, so I'm kind of far removed from, how things interact and contain the sphere or whatever the physics people say. so it's interesting. It's nice to kind of branch out and read stuff that's way, way, way outside my comfort zone. But it's a lot of fun. Lots of fun, but we'll dive into those right after this screen and get back to it. I was working on a decay rune, I think. Actually, I had already finished that one. I was working in the chaos rune. What was I doing? Yes. Dephasing and non-linear outcomes is what I was looking at for the chaos rune. Trying to break from, Willie, you're right there with me. This is just not my thing. Fun to read that. Fun to read. The magic of it. I don't really believe this stuff exists. People just make it all this crazy stuff. So at any rate, we are here for GM's Tricks of the Trade. Something? Number 55, how to speed up combat rounds. For those of you who have actually sat in on some of my games, at GaryCon or Gamehole or Gen Con or Origin or wherever, I tend to try to run fast combat. I don't like combat to slow down. Whenever combat slows down, whether it's through its discussion or dice rolling or whatever, you lose your pacing, and when you lose your pacing, everybody kind of relaxes. Because now you're going to spend the next 25 minutes talking to the mage about how the spell works, or the ranger about how whatever feat or ability or skill or whatever game system running works, and everything just log jams immediately. Your pace is gone, and whatever kind of frantic thing you had going, with the frenzy of the combat is gone, the nervousness that am I going to die or whatever, it's just gone. And it's easy to lose that pace. And it's almost all incumbent on the game master to keep that pace going. The characters are under it, the players are under it. It's a wholly different, set of responsibilities when it comes to combat. But it's up to the game master to keep it rolling. Roll attack and damage dice at the same time. My son does that. He rolls initiative to hit and his damage all in one hand roll, and if he doesn't hit, he just ignores the damage and goes to the next one. I don't know why that's always kind of bothered me, but it's really, there's no difference between one or the other. So it is what it is. Those young whippersnappers and their crazy gaming technique. I've burned up a good 9 minutes. That should give everyone time to wander into the room. So we will dive right into, or drive if you're sitting in your car, right into the first trick of the trade for keeping speedy combat rounds. So this one comes very naturally to me, and it's some of you out there, it's not going to come naturally to. If you tend to talk a little slower, it's kind of tough to ramp things up. But I try to create I try to create a frantic pace through me. I talk faster, I stand up, I move around a lot, I point a lot. It's one of the reasons that Chuck, Tim, and I are working to try to solve my gaming style with the new medium of cameras and whatnot, because it's difficult for me to point. Because my point, you don't know I'm pointing at, right? So I like to point at players so they know that, the focus is suddenly on them. I like to stand up, and if I stand up on camera, you just see my stomach, I suppose. That's no good. But at the table, I try to pick up the speed of my pace in my speaking, and I try to stand up, move, anything to kind of create that sense of energy around the table. And I don't necessarily wander up and down the table, though I do on my big games. That's more for a sound issue. But I do stand up, and I like to kind of game from above. When you're sitting down, you're relaxed and you're hidden behind your screens, and you're very separated from the action. But if you stand up, you're kind of involved with the action. But that aside, that clearly isn't going to work on these platforms that doesn't work at all. But there's other things you can do. You can shorten your descriptions. You can definitely speed up the way you talk, but you can shorten your combat descriptions. Don't get into long descriptions of, intestines pooling around the feet, and the feet get tangled up, and there's goo that come out of it. It's enough that the wound ruptured your gut and there's intestines showing, and then move on. So you got to get that graphic. So cut your description short and get those out of the way fast. Pick up the pace of your talking and whatnot. And do not stop to read anything. Don't read a description from somebody if there's a long and complicated ability that a monster has. Scan it quick and make it up or whatever. Just use it a little bit or save it for the next round. Read a little bit now, and then while players are doing something, look at it again to get a better gist of it, and then use it a round or two, later on. You don't want to stop the movie combat to read anything, a descriptive text, or to read anything, an ability or something like that. Best is to know what the monsters do before you go into it. But definitely don't stop to read anything in the middle of your combat. That's just combat death right there. So stand up if you can, gesture a little bit, engage the players, and short descriptive text, anything that you can to kind of pick up your own pace of gaming. And I know, like I said, it's tough for those people who like to talk a little slower, a little bit more methodical and careful in their speech. As you all have come to realize here with me jibber-jabbering on Twitch, I'm not careful with my speech. Just a moment ago I said drive, and let's drive right in and not dive right in. I do that all the time, but that's part of it, the fast talking that I've got. I probably should have been a con artist or something. I don't know. Gibbering. I just don't like to rip people off. So pick up your pace, gear the pace up. Try to just speed up your gaming style, if for no other time during the combat. Speed that up. And as always, as we go through these tricks of the trade and we go through the subject matter, if you have any comments or thoughts or questions or whatever, just throw them into the feed. There's a lot of experienced GMs out there. You guys have been doing this, many of you as long as I have. And even if you haven't, 20 years, 10 years in is enough time to learn all kinds of stuff. So definitely throw it in the feed and share it with everybody. And thank you all for showing up and joining me this afternoon. And if you have not, please give us a follow and spread the word of the Troll Twitch channel. Let everybody know it's out here and doing the do. All right, let's wander into number 2. So, Chuck, you said you didn't have much time on the panel. That first one's good. It's got a lot of people jammed into it and me gesticulating. So I guess that captured the essence of the first one. And I'm clearly intent on saying something. All right, let's dive into number 2. Yes, dice. Oh, I see you use the Castles and Crusades dice pouch. Very cool. Very, very cool. I took that one. Nice. Drunk. Speak with intensity if you can't talk fast. Yeah, no, that's a great point, 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐬. Speak very deliberately. I mean, not loud. You don't want to yell at them. You don't want to do that, but with intensity is good. Just kind of put some fervor on what's going on, and it'll draw people to the table and make them kind of pick up a little bit. It gives a little bit of iron to your GMing. That's an absolutely great point. I should pick up my dice bag. There you go. All right. So on to number 2, dice. Yeah, so the thing about combat, it's really, we do attribute checks in Castles and Crusades, and I guess other games do as well. I don't know how they play. Even in AD&D, we did attribute checks. I think the Wilderness Survival Guide and the Dungeoneer Survival Guide had those. But a rolling dice is an intricate part of the game, and I know there's some systems out there that do away with dice. My brother has toyed his game with taking away damage dice, so that he's rolling the damage, and that way it becomes a mystery for the players and all that. And I get all that. I understand all of the philosophical concepts and arguments behind the chance of dice and the distractions, whatever. But dice they're one of the best tools that a GM has because we've talked ad nauseum about how you can use attribute checks and spell technicals and whatever the hell to get someone's attention that's not paying attention to them and roll a dice. That usually brings them back to the table pretty quick. But in combat, Dice have a whole new level of usage. The dice are actually the players doing something, whereas if you are actually, outside fighting a knight in the trees, you would be physically moving, right? You'd be all over the place. Well, the dice is the one thing that keeps the players themselves actually moving and doing something and interacting physically with the game, as opposed to listening to what's going on and scribbling down a couple of notes on damage or a lost weapon or a broken shield or something. A little guerrilla marketing. There you go. But when you've got them rolling the initiative and you've got them rolling that's a hit, and you got to roll your damage, you have them making constant checks during combat. You're constantly engaging with. It's one reason that I never do, I've talked about this before, I never do like a group initiative where you roll once and that's the initiative for the rest of the combat sequence. Never do I do that. Every round is a new initiative. So every round, that's one extra dice they're rolling, that's one extra engagement that they're actually doing at the table, and the damage and there's a hit, of course. And then what I'll do is I'll mix it up with questions that are asked or clarifications that are needed or something like that. I will have them make an attribute check. Give me a strength check. They ask, can I tell which one's the strongest? Can I tell which one's the leader? That's a pretty common question. Which one is the leader? Give me an attribute check, whether it's strength or wisdom or whatever you want it to be. Of course, that's in Castles and Crusades. Now, I don't know other systems if they're going to allow you to do that. But if they don't, you should come up with something. You should probably just play CNC because it's so much easier to do in CNC. But and I got to tell you, as a side note, in working on the Chaos Rooms a little while ago, I figured out how to use, and it was insanely simple. I figured out how to use the Siege engine in Chaos Rooms to actually give them a measure of chaos. To give them just a chaotic nature, their outcome will be chaotic. So, and I think it's pretty cool. It's very, very simple. It's very, very cool. And that'll definitely appear in whatever book we're doing. Spell Compendium. I got that written down, but I don't think that's the title. I think it has something to do with the backpack. Spellcaster's backpack or something. I don't know. The sound is really muffled. The white noise completely buries your audio when you trail off or mumble. I got this new mic, and that's what we get. Let me pull it a little closer. So we're going to try that. Is that any better, King Kothar? Is everybody getting that, or is that just a King Kothar issue? Or am I just trailing off and mumbling? Wait, Babunski said. You installed it. There was no installation. I just plugged it in, and it said attach, whatever. Choose this mic. Let's see. I want to read what Commander Pete said while you're pontificating, Babunski. I heard a really good tip during virtual GaryCon on how to teach new players to dice. You tell them that the gamers like to keep the highest of value face-up for luck. Encourage them to do the same. Then when you're looking for the appropriate dice type, they can quickly see the number on top to see how many dice. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's actually... Oh, that's very cool. That's, it's one of the things is when people stop in the middle of combat to find their dice. The 8 looks like a 10, and they're poking around and they roll the wrong dice or whatever, and that 2 will slow. Anything like that slows the combat down. And no crackle, but you were trailing off. Maybe I was just trailing off. Maybe I should just stop trailing off. Is that what I should do? So Vic Danger's got no crackle, and King Kothar does have crackle. What do you, Babunski? Give me a heads up. What's going on? You getting good sound or not? Effie, you got good sound? I hear a faint crackle. Is it my chair? My chair is a horrid piece of junk that needs to be huzzing, but you are pretty clear. Alright, so we got crackle and huzzing, and I'm not sure what's going on out there, but or what's going on in here. Alright. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what that could be. My refrigerator's humming in the background. It's an electronic crackle. Let's see. You are okay, or you need to get over. Okay, so we're going to, I guess after the show, we're going to look at some settings. Chuck is telling me over here. See if we can't make it a little bit better. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, King, I don't know what it could be. I got nothing humming here, nothing going on, except the Dr. Pepper fridge behind me, and I'm not turning that off. That's not going to be turned off. that we cannot afford. My greatest fear is when the apocalypse comes and I lose electricity, I'll never have a cold Dr. Pepper again. It'll just be sad. I guess actually I could take him up north, go up to Willie's country, and when it's snowing, stick him in a snowbank. That'd be good. All right. Okay. Okay. Hey, you don't want to see Stevie. Yeah, no, none of that. None of that. I get very grumpy. Get very sad. It's just very, very sad. I don't know how our ancestors did it without cold Dr. Pepper, but somehow they managed. Crazy world. All right. So use the dice as much as you can. Just kind of constantly, everybody rolling. It just engages everybody. Keeps everybody kind of, crackling at the table, so they're involved, and that's kind of a key thing. And it helps you too, of course, because you're having to constantly engage this player and that player with whatever dice they're rolling, and it keeps you kind of at the top of your game, so you don't get bored when you're on combat and drift off or something like that. Just speak like we're in the middle of a combat. It'll be fine, right? I'm just going to shout into it. I need to stand up, then you're going to see my midriff. I need to get one of those shirts that exposes my belly, and would be good, or not, maybe not good. But all right, on to trick of the trade number 3. What are we doing here? So save it for later. Okay, yeah. So this one's interesting. I think we started this at my table a long time ago, and it's just slowly developed into a thing. So I run the games for the most part, but watch a million ways it does it while you learn. Okay, I'll check it out. I like that. So years ago, I run most of the games, but Mac would game some, he would run the game some, and then Todd would do it as well, and Charlie once in Blue Moon, and then later Chris took over a bit. But so we all became kind of experienced, dungeon masters in those days. It was AD&D, of course, and after a while, when there was confusing things or unclear things or whatever, or we thought something should react a little bit differently, we kind of developed what we just called the DM's Council. So we would just say, okay, there's 5 of us or whatever the hell it was. Does this spell do A or does it do B? Todd, what do you say? And then everyone would just cast their vote, and however many votes won, that was it. That's the spell did that, or whatever it was. It had that impact. We don't do it often, just like I said, when there's no clarity. But when you're in Snowbank, it is 90. Damn it, Willie! I gotta go to the Arctic, and isn't it melting or something? I don't know what's going on up there, but maybe the Antarctic. I don't know. Is those penguins? Are penguins cold? I guess they're not cold. They're birds. The family question. Yeah, no midriff. Yeah, we need no midriff. No one needs to see my midriff. But at any rate, so what one of the things that we do now is we'll do this kind of DM's Council thing where everybody gets to decide what to spell. But and that's what to save it for later. Is that some SpongeBob? Is that some SpongeBob SquarePants font there? That's fantastic. SpongeBob is one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time. His work ethic is absolutely through the roof. I absolutely love it. So at any rate, how's it going, 42? So at any rate, so save it for later. If there's something that comes up that's unclear, make an immediate ruling on it and move on. Let your players know before the game or at the moment or whatever, we can decide on a more concrete ruling or a more fair ruling or whatever type of ruling later. But for now, I don't want to slow the combat up. This is what the spell does. This is its impact. We go on. And then carry a line on. And just save the debating for later. Don't debate in the middle of a combat because it's just going to, those terms, rules, lawyering, the first time I heard of them was shortly after 3rd edition came out at Gen Con. And this is where you get horrific debates at the table about what something is supposed to do or what its intent was or whatever. And that will crush a combat in a nanosecond and you will never get it back. And you can be 10 minutes into this crazy combat, spend 25 minutes arguing about something and you're done. You might as well just have your monster fall over with a heart attack. and save your energy for another day, because debate and arguments, it always shuts things down. So my advice is to just don't do it at the table. Just don't. Not in the combat round. Let the combat finish. Make your ruling. I usually will rule a little bit in favor of the players. Usually, kind of give a little bit of credence in that direction, simply because if the spell is unclear and they wanted it to do something or intended it to do something and it didn't do that thing, then it could cause all kinds of ramifications that you or the player don't want. So I don't always rule in the player's favor, but I tend to just rule in a little bit, kind of go in that direction. But make the ruling and then move on. And when the combat's over, I'll actually kind of say, okay, now that we're done and you're all alive, whatever, this spell is unclear. Let's set it down what it does for the future. And there's been a few that we've had to do that too in CNC. I think was Mirror Image one of them? No, that was one Chris saved from. I can't remember. There's been a few spells that need clarity and don't have it in the books, and we would decide it afterwards. But in the combat round, absolutely do not stop and debate anything. Here, better late than never. As a millennial, I can confirm the SpongeBob title card. There you go, gang. I absolutely love SpongeBob, and that that font is extremely welcome or recognizable. Sometimes I'll delegate a player to look up the rule and keep. Sometimes I'll delegate a player to look up the rule and keep playing while they look. That's a good way of doing it too, actually. We'll do that if you're doing, if you're running your combat around the table. You get to say player 2, and there's the confusion. Say, okay, read that, figure it out. I'm going to player 3. That's a great idea. Great idea, 42. Anything that keeps you from stopping the combat round and having an argument about something. You just don't want to do that. But the players can certainly they can read. Though sometimes these things the intent is just not 100% clear. It was one of the rune spells Chris cast 2 weeks ago or last week. 2 weeks ago. We didn't play last week, but had something to do with the plane traveling sphere. Whether it kept going, I can't remember now. But these things, they need clarity. They need clarification in the books, and it's difficult. I wrote that one, and it's difficult to make excuses for game design. It's difficult to write these complicated ones, not knowing all of the usage that it's going to be put to. When Chris used it the other day, it wasn't intended for what he was doing at all. But I thought, well, why not? Why wouldn't it work here? And then, of course, immediately complications kind of arose from that. But and that's one of the things, just so that you guys know, on the rune magic that I'm working on, I'm trying really, really hard to not replicate the intent or the outcome of other spells. At the end of the day, lightning bolt and fireball are the same spell. They do the same damage. They do, a little area effect different or whatever, but one's a lightning bolt and one's a fireball, and they're the same thing. Magic missile and Melt's magic arrow and all these other things. Wait, can we sell Melt? I don't know if we can say Melt anymore, but whatever it is now. A lot of the spells just kind of replicate themselves. They just describe a little bit differently, or replicate other spells, and they're just described a little differently. And I'm trying in the rune magic to break free of that. To have something new with each spell that does a little bit different than some other spells. It's not easy to do. Grease is one of those spells. Someone will always try to cast the grease on fire, and someone else will argue that it just makes things slippery, and it's actually grease, and isn't actually grease. Yeah, that's a perfect example of it. It's going to crop up. There's going to be all kinds of stuff like that. The designer, writer, creator, editor, whoever didn't think of every possible. And whoever created grease probably had this concept in mind, and just went with that. And then someone who's really creative at the table is going to start taking that basic concept and just expanding it, and which is good. I mean, you always want. I always want, as a DM, as a GM, as a CK, whatever I am. I always want players to push the boundaries. I really do, because it makes it challenging for me, which makes it fun for me. If I just know everything that's happening, then it's just not that fun. So I like it when they push it down. So it's a good thing, but it does sometimes clog up the works. But you just got to save it for later. Counterpoint spells should be more vague and not more exact. The magic lives in the margins, not in the text. vagueness allows for creativity and adjudication by game masters to tailor to their world. That's a great point, and that is very, very, very true. It's one of the things about, so the rune magic, and I know I'm harping on that a lot because I was working on it earlier, but the rune magic is built with a little bit of that concept in mind, because the idea is you should take multiple runes and use them together, not just cast magic missile and then fireball and then this. You want to cast this rune and then this rune and then this rune so that they're all working together for this outcome. But you can't, there's no possible way as a designer that you can create, you know, the amalgam of all of these runes. We've already created 60 or 70 of them or something, and I've got another 60 that I've just kind of racked up or am wrapping up. There's going to be 300 or 400 of these things. There's absolutely no way you can do, you know, all of the various combinations of these runes. I don't know what. Very good. We've established I'm not good with mathematics, so I'm not with 400 to the 400. I don't know, whatever that would be. It would be a lot, but so you can't. So the vagueness in that regard, the vagueness works. But as a GM, you absolutely have to be able to make a ruling on the spot, or like 42 said, have a player make a ruling on the spot during your combat round, so it doesn't slow things down. Creativity and all of that stuff is great, and that's certainly what you want to do, but in combat, you don't want to break your pace. You got to make that immediate ruling and then move on. And it's okay if the spell is different later than it was then. There's, you know, 10,000 environmental conditions that go on in anything that we do. So maybe an environmental condition made it, you know, act differently. There's 1,000 ways you can explain these you know, spell eccentricities. If you're so inclined to even spell them, so inclined to even explain them. I don't know where spell came from, but whatever. Yeah. So make your ruling, save the debate for later, and then keep your combat round running, whether it is for creativity purposes or player purposes or what it is. Keep the rage at the table going. The star of 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐬, your magic face with the spell on it. There you go. You got it. That's perfect. The moon was too bright. The waves, you know, whatever it is that you need to do to make it. And the thing is, you know, we've talked about this before in other tricks of the trade. It is the GM's job to adjudicate what's going on, right? That at the end of the day, you have to make that call whether it works or whether it doesn't work. Not up to the players. And if you will, when you adjudicate, if you will come down in the player's favor slightly more than you don't, then they're going to be more inclined, players will be more inclined to accept a ruling, an on-the-spot, and, you know, not heavily researched or thought out ruling that allows combat to continue forward. If it goes against them than they are if you are always constantly ruling against players. If every time you open your mouth, you're telling the players it doesn't work that way. No, that doesn't happen. No, that's not it. No. Then it's just this they're just going to assume that the spell is going to work against them anyways, and this is the way it's going to be. And you might get them back, you know, some flack from that. You might get some argument, and you don't want any of that. The whole purpose of saving it for later is to avoid that argument. So always kind of, you're louder than normal. Don't be that CK, exactly. Well, in 5 we're all over the place. We had a hazel earlier. No, hazing something. I don't know. Crackling. I can't remember. We're gonna tinker with this new mic later and see if it's not doing something. You know what it might be. I got an idea. Let me try. So I got my window. Maybe the air conditioner outside is making that humming noise. So is the humming noise gone, 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐬, or is it still there now? Because that might be what it was. So I don't know how that's going to. No, it's for sure the mic. All right. Oh well. So there you go. All right. We'll figure something out. All right. So I triggered the trade number all. Chaos rules. Yeah. So this is an interesting. I like doing this one, and I've become more better yet than just simply no. It is at the end of the day, because it stops argument, and it gets tough being a player. I think it's very easy for GMs to forget how tough it is to play. Now, I'm running a game right now where all 5 of the players are really not figuring out what's going on, and that's on me. There hasn't been, not completely on me, but a lot of it's on me. There hasn't been a lot of information that's been forthcoming. So they have very little to figure out what's going on. They have very little, info to figure out what's going on. So it is better. It's better to just kind of fall in their favor when you can, because it makes everything easier and makes everything more acceptable to everybody. So on this next one, trade, chaos rules. I went too close to the other wires that may be badly shredded. Well, it's only close to one, and that's my phone recharging wire. Hold on. Get that away. Alright. I have moved it away, I think, from all the wires. So we'll see. We'll see if that helps. Does that help at all? Maybe I need to plug it in more. Shit. Afraid if I touch it, the whole thing will come undone. So we'll tinker with it later. So chaos rules. So on this one, you're running the game, you're running the combat round, you give a description, you explain something that happened, and maybe someone wasn't listening, or maybe they didn't hear it all, or they were concentrating on writing down their damage, or the myriad number of things that can distract people from what you're saying, and they didn't get everything. They didn't hear what you said. So you can repeat it, certainly, and go over the whole thing again, but as soon as you do that, and not only is it going to slow your pace down, but it's going to slow everybody's pace. Everybody's going to kind of stop and begin to disengage, because they just heard this said already, and now they've got to listen to it again, and their mind begins to wander. So it's best to not repeat it if you can, or repeat it in a very abbreviated fashion, and just tell the player, that's okay. You don't quite. There's so much. There's the fury of motion and blood and bones, and the cracking of weapons and all of this stuff, all of the noise and the smells of the blood and the battle and all of this stuff has caused you confusion, and you can't quite grasp what's going on. Roll initiative. So just that's the chaos of battle. It's just so much going on from 5 or 6 players, with some of them with spells going off, and 4 or 5 monsters, some of them with spells, magical effects, tentacles, breath weapons, and any number of other things. Throw into that ground that you're standing on, the blood spilled upon the ground, getting kind of slippery, insects in the air, the cackling in the mic, whatever it is. All of these things are crowding in on the player, on the character's senses, and they can't quite grasp what's going on. Just roll initiative and go on. Now, this way, you kind of use the player's confusion as part of the character's frenzy. So you kind of weave reality into your game. It's a much more interactive way of playing, and most people respond to it pretty well. So long as it doesn't end up with their character getting slaughtered that round because they didn't take the appropriate action. So obviously don't do that. But definitely just try to rope in the chaos and use it, and use all of that to avoid re-describing everything and slowing the game down, and re-engaging, or keeping the character, the player, even more engaged. Consider GM trick number 3. What was number 3? Save it for later. It took me a minute. I was trying to relate that to the chaos rules, and I'm like, what? But you're talking about the mic. Got it. Now there is a crap. It's something that I have, because I did not install anything. I just plugged this mic in, and it said choose mic. Now I will say this. Wait, let me think. We did something. In Skype, I'm going to turn Skype off. So in Skype, to get there you go. In Skype, to get the audio so that my speaker to work, I had to change the mic setting. So I'm going to close Skype and see if that helps at all. So Skype is closed. Did that help at all? Did that do anything? Nothing. Yeah, okay, all right. So, well, at least I blocked out people from talking to me, so that's a good thing. So yeah, so take the confusion that the players have, and just roll it right into your round, and use that to your advantage when you're describing it, or when you're creating that chaos. Yeah, who knows? Mark CMG, it kind of sounds like listening to you on an old phone. I'm missing my my old mic now. That's great. So I like phonographic records. What the hell? That is so funny. I don't know, guys. I don't know what it could be. All right. So with that in mind, let me pop that back open and the wander in. Perfectly understandable. Yeah, but still, it's kind of weird. Strange things afoot. All right, so this is the hardest. This. I mean, it reads easier than it sounds because it's kind of hard to do, and it's really doubling up on your players. And this, for me, really picks up the pace of combat. And it like I said earlier, a lot of these things are not working well. Haven't figured out how to work them well with the online, videos and whatnot. And this is one of them. But as you go on Bloodwild, it's really, you're going to be engaging two players at the same time. So keeping in mind that I have everybody rolls initiative again with each melee round. I'll start in on player one, have them roll initiative. And then however I roll initiative and however that's resolving, they're swinging, and then I still got to swing, and then they're giving me my damage. About the time I'm 2/3 of the way through the round, so I'm doing, either they're making a swing, or whoever, depending on who lost initiative, or I'm making the monster swing. As I'm doing that, I'll roll the dice, and I'll go to player two and say, give me an initiative. And I don't even roll initiative yet. I'm still finishing up this round, but player two is already engaged, and they're starting to roll initiative. And then I'll wrap up rapidly with player one. You take 4 points of damage. Now player two, what do you got? Initiative, and then I'm rolling initiative. And then so even as player one is wrapping up, player two is already deeply involved. And then it doesn't take but a few seconds to do the round. And then I'm on to player three with as the second combat swing. Whoever goes second is doing a swing. I'm on to player three. And you just move it rapidly across the table. And occasionally you're going to have to get out of order, of course, because if this person over here rolls initiative, rolls a 5, then they might actually be interacting with the monster over here, and so you may have to drag that initiative dice over. But it's hard to do. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to do, but it's kind of a hard concept to master when you're doing it, because you're basically focusing on two players simultaneously. Though 90% of your focus is on one, that 10% can drag you over. They're rolling an initiative, your buddy's thinking, I got to get my initiative done. But you don't actually. You really just need to finish this round. And the whole purpose is just to engage that second, and then the third, and then the fourth player as it goes around the table. That really is probably one of the tools I use the absolute most, especially in those big games where it's 24, 25, 26 people. I use it heavily, and I'll have 3 people going kind of simultaneously, simply because there's so many people at the table. If I conclude one round all the way down to the ground per player, it's going to take forever to get to player 24. So I try to engage 2 to 3 simultaneously so that everybody goes faster and more people are actually engaged. And you can take that same concept and roll it right into your weekly game. Just engaging 2 at the same time. So a little bit tough, but definitely do it. Give it a shot and see how that plays out. Valor pleases you, Kong, so grant me one request. Grant me revenge, and if you do not listen, then the hell with you. That's a great scene, that whole... The Conan the Barbarian movie, the first one's a good movie, though there's some stuff that's weird about it. I didn't like the whole... The arena pits and then the slave thing with the grain, the grist mill, or whatever the hell he was doing. That was just weird. But it seemed unnecessary. And I'm not a huge fan of you have to go into the east to learn to fight the swords. But after about the point where he's running away, that other dude, and it's like the wolves or something. That movie is just good. It's just a good movie after that. And that final combat sequence, and when he makes that prayer, Valor pleases you, God. When he makes that prayer, it's just that battle sequence is fantastic. It's one of my favorite of all time. I love how Valeria comes back and saves him. And what does she say? If in life or death I can save you, or something. I can't remember what she says, but very cool stuff. I have a question entirely unrelated. It's never been entirely related to tabletop gaming, but this is an AMA and it's potentially sensitive. Well, fire away. I'll do my best. I can't promise anything, King Kothar, but shoot, and I'll do my best to be sensitive. We are in an interesting time. There is no doubt. Do you want? Yeah, that's it. Do you want to live forever? And I love that sequence where she stands there and she's really like a moment of light that, just blinds the one guy for a moment that allows Dude Man and Conan to get back to his feet and get back into the fray. Just a great sequence. All of it is great. The arrows is one of the few fantasy movies, aside from War of Arrows, where you actually see arrows used and and actually do something. It's just good stuff. Good stuff. All right, King Kothar, fire. We'll wrap up GM's Tricks of the Trade with your question. If I suddenly sign off, it's too sensitive. I didn't want to address it. But I hope you all enjoyed today's Tricks of the Trade, but that's where we are. When my players aren't paying attention, I whip out the quoting saying, if you do not listen, then the hell with you. Rolling. I used to hold up the eraser side of the pencil. If they saw that come over the screen, they knew all hell was about to break loose, because I was tired of nobody paying attention to what was going on and what was happening. I call it coming to your senses. But it's a lot of fun in the old days. We don't do that much anymore. Everyone's older and they pay attention all the time. What's up with that? It's crazy. All right, well, we're waiting for King Kothar's question. So check us out on Discord if you haven't already. Also, we've got a Patreon account that has a lot of these GMs. I think all of the GM's Tricks of the Trade are up there, and there's 55 times 5, whatever that is, and a couple of essays, I think, that are up there. Just a whole lot of information that hopefully can help you guys out running whatever type of game you want or what have you. But give us a follow here if you haven't. Check us out on Discord. There's the link in the thing. Oh yeah, we've got a Kickstarter. I keep forgetting that damn Kickstarter. We are so insanely busy, and the only thing that I really want to work on are these rune spells. Everything else, I just don't want to work on it. I just want to do these rune spells. But I can't. I got it. I got too much other things to do. Crazy busy around it. Excuse me. All right, King, are you still typing, or that's quite a question? That's quite a question you're sending it up. And does anyone else have any other questions or comments on how they run combat? I like it fast, furious, with lots of blood, exploding eyeballs, and broken equipment. I think last week we did the broken equipment thing. Oh, here we go. So recently, Wizards of the Coast put out a statement regarding their representation of monstrous races, namely orcs and drow. They expressed disappointment in how they had used real-world cultures as inspiration in the past. They said they were going to do away with the concept of evil races and would try to have content more agreeable to everyone. Additionally, they pulled Oriental Adventures and 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐬 from their online stores, saying they would no longer be reprinted due to content. Is this all puffery? I thought it was silly, but my peers agree with their statement wholeheartedly. I don't know. It's one of those things. I think that the whole discussion on orcs and drow is just oddly placed. They're monsters. We had this thing years ago. We were playing. Davis was running a game, and we encountered 2 trolls. Now, if you ever play in Davis's game, he takes. His background is cultural anthropology, so he's got all of this, and he'll create a whole groupings and societies and cultures around simple encounters. With Davis, it's never a simple encounter. He gets a lot of vested interest in his encounters, and he doesn't like his monsters to die, so he plays them like they would be, real world things and all that. Sort of what Wizards of the Coast is talking about. And in this particular encounter, there was a troll that attacked the party, and we slew that troll, and a second troll arrived and was trying to get, parts of the dead troll to take back. And we were trying to stop them because obviously we knew it was going to happen. If they got the parts back, then the troll would regenerate with that type of it. I come to find out later, after we slew both, after a horrific 3-hour running battle, back and forth, role-playing, all kinds of craziness, we ended up slaying both of the trolls. And they just kind of, sadly, humorously explained to us that it was a mating pair of trolls, a husband and wife, for lack of a better term, and the wife was just trying to save her husband. And it added this whole, what came out of that was this long philosophical discussion about whether we should be slaying these monsters or trying to treat with them or what have you. And on that end of things, yes, that certainly is there. But at the end of the day, I pulled the book out because I got tired of the argument. I said, look, trolls are evil. And the one person who was so vehemently for them having all the, whatever traits that humans have, or dwarves or elves or whatever, I said, look, it says it clearly here in the book that trolls are evil, so killing them was justified. And that's kind of where I leave it. I don't think that it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to change the nature of these are monsters. An orc is not a race. It's not it's a species of monster, in my book, anyways. Now, I can tell you right now in Aird, they are definitely evil. There are no good orcs. If you read the history of orcs, they come from an evil god. And they don't even come from an evil god. They come from the dark thoughts of the Allfather that are splintered out. So there is no part of an orc that is good or can comprehend goodness. If it does something good, it is by accident or lack of action. So in the world of Aird, orcs are definitely evil, and that story won't change. In 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐬 and Crusade, they are also evil. If Wizards of the Coast wants to expand them into a playable race and give them, and see, this is the difference in game systems. So you have to carry the question on to dwarves and elves and to all of these things. If you're going to allow players to play them, then you almost have to allow gradations of alignment, right? Because if you don't, then when they play the Centaur, they're always going to be chaotic good. When they play the Orc, they're always going to be chaotic evil or whatever it is. So depending on the game system, you almost, if you're going to allow, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, it's one reason I don't allow people to play monsters, and I don't like it when they play monsters. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work in a whole struggle of good and evil. To me, orcs are evil, but I can understand why they did it. I think the reasoning is, I think the timing is kind of, I don't know, a little odd, whatever. I get why they're doing it, but the reasoning makes sense. If you want the race to be playable, then yeah, you got to give it the nuances. And the drow too, I wouldn't have allowed it in the first place. I see it as anthropomorphism. They aren't human at all. They don't even exist. Additionally, the concept of cosmic objective evil. Real evil is objective. Certainly, I see there's the rub right there. And in our world, you can have a philosophical conversation about the relative nature of good and evil. Certainly, was Jeffrey Dahmer evil, or was he just his brain things misfired in his brain, or whatever the technical terminology is when the brain isn't functioning properly? I think it's called big troll wars. But in fantasy settings, if you're having evil monsters, then you have to kind of accept the idea that there is evil as an actual thing. Evil is something that's just evil for their very nature as such, and orcs have always been that way, cast by Tolkien. I think Tolkien hints somewhere in the Silmarillion that they're elves that are twisted, but he really just hints at that, if I remember correctly. And I'm not really sure where orcs come from, to be honest with you. Drow is clearly an AD&D thing. I have a player who plays one chaotic good. He has an intelligence 5, but very cranky. Yeah, so I get why they did it. I don't think it is necessary, but it is necessary if you're going to allow players to play those races. Because then you can. Otherwise, I think it's fine to leave the orc evil. I don't think it. I don't know that all orcs are described as having skin color that's black, so there shouldn't be any relation to that. I mean, just the whole thing was, I don't know, a little odd. And then the drow are, I don't know, that whole thing's just a little bit odd. But again, if you're going to allow your players to play that, you got to give some kind of gradation. Now, on the second part of your comment there, the Oriental Adventures, I'm really not sure. I watched a little bit of the video where they're reviewing that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it. it certainly was never intended to be offensive. It was actually intended to be inclusive, to allow, to break free from, like if you read the World of Arab, you're going to find definitely an Indo-European Middle Ages 900, 700s to 1200s time frame, and maybe 1300s if you push it. And I don't really touch other cultures because I don't know anything about them. So they're there. You can certainly play any number of cultures, but you're going to have to develop them yourself. Because I don't develop them myself. But again, that whole state, that even gets kind of confusing because in the world of air, technologically, everyone is the same because their technology comes from the armor that they use, the weapons, the metallurgy, all of that comes from the dwarves, and the dwarves interact with everybody. So there's no real, the whole thing is very, very, very confusing. So I think that at the end of the day, you've got to create a fantasy system that you're comfortable with. And if it's got good and evil in these things, then own up to it, and it's fine. It's a little odd. I don't know that I answered your question at all. What bothers me is they're going to go back and edit their older stuff and come into alignment with philosophy. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I hate to say it's much ado about nothing. This is certainly not going to further the conversation about police brutality. It's just not. Okay, so that, and with that, in that regard, it's whatever. It's a role-playing game. But Wizards of the Coast, certainly it's their company, and they've got to do what they feel is correct in doing, and go forward. And that kind of is the content for the POV. It's just, I think it's just fuzzy stuff, not other ambitions. No, they're killing the 1E stuff, I think. I think they're killing that Oriental adventure. And again, I don't know if that's offensive or not. I'm certainly not of Asian heritage, so I don't know how offensive that is. I've never honestly read Oriental Adventures. I never owned it, I don't think. So I don't know what's in it. And I watched a few minutes of this video and just didn't get it. Very interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting time to be in. And I know there's crisscrossing stuff all over the place, so it's an interesting. What is the Chinese proverb? May you be cursed to live in interesting times, and we definitely are in that. We'll see how this all pans out. Kind of sad to see the Drow become good, though. Kind of sad. Drow are kind of cool. Don't have them in the world of air. We've got Twilight Elves, but they're not Drow. So there you go. Yeah, yeah, we're not going to change anything. I mean, in Castles and Crusades, if you want orcs to be good, great, carry on. And that is certainly your prerogative, but orcs are evil. There's no Drow that I know of. There's Twilight Elves in the world of air, but they certainly are not evil. They're not good. They're not over here. They're all over the place. But because Drow and police copyrighted Wizards of the Coast, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but while I wouldn't. It'll probably be worth something. I don't know. We'll see where all of this goes in the coming months. As I don't know. As you see, the pandemic is still obviously raging. All kinds of stuff going on out there that we have very little control of anymore. But we do our tables and dive into it. As long as it's sensibly handled, I see no problem. Does cultural appropriation apply to ancient Greek or Celtic cultures? They are not allowed to apply. That's part of the issue there too. I mean. Like I said, I honestly think that those books were created for inclusivity. I don't think that they were created to stereotype or judge or anything like that. I don't think there was any malicious intent, and I think intent has a huge amount to do with something. Here in Arkansas, we had a knucklehead that lived out in Alpena, and this dude, I swear to God, he or his idiot followers traveled all over the state, especially colleges, and put little flyers. These flyers are filled with the most ridiculous crap in people's car windows, all over campuses and whatnot. And so clearly that idiot had malicious intent. I don't think that the people who wrote Oriental Adventures had any kind of malicious intent. And they were really trying to expand the horizons of RPGs. I think we should keep that in our thoughts when we're looking at this stuff. Quick question, any updates of the Codex 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤? That book is done, finished, and approved, so it is printing. And I've got 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤 is already at the printer. I've got the blue line, well, they're not blue lines anymore. The digital proofs yesterday. I've gone through and begun approving those. It should be approved by late tomorrow afternoon, and it will be printing as well. So I'm hoping within 3 weeks we're seeing those things coming at us. We've got some touch-up on the Valleys of Tamar, some touch-up on the Book of the Dead, and the poster's done, and the adventures are all done. One of them needs laid out. No, they're all edited. They're all 3D laid out, but we'll get all that done in the probably next week. Covers will go out next week. So I'm hoping in 3 weeks everything in that thing is done and rolling off the presses and sending to you guys. I'm super happy with that Egyptian book. The 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐜 2, I didn't get a chance to look at it as closely as I did the Egyptian book. But the art in Egypt book is through the roof, and Peter did a bang up job laying those things down. So super happy about it. So hopefully within the next 30 days we'll be dropping those in the boxes. We've already got the boxes. We've got everything squared. We're ready to ship as soon as they get here. And I know that Walsworth has suffered a tremendous loss in business over the past few months. So they may get them to us faster than they normally do. They've already asked for shipping instructions. So that's always a good sign. So very soon. Well, that's it for today. I hope, Kothar, I answered your question a little bit, but it is a very delicate issue these days. Very cool. Enjoyed tonight's GM's Tricks of the Trade, and we'll see you again on Tuesday for Ask Me Anything. We'll dive back into all of these conversations and see where we land. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and give us a follow if you have not. And we will. I'm glad, Kane, because it's all so very confusing. We'll see you guys next week, and I'm going to go back and do some room lore. Look, I didn't even yawn today. It's amazing. It's a great thing. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks, great day. We will see you guys later.